I loved having 7 siblings. I loved coming from like a big family. It was weird though. My parents solved arguments with 5-on-5 basketball games. That was pretty wild. You take your 4, I'll take my 4.
Settle it out front.
Oh yeah. If you weren't drafted in the top 3, it was like how you figured out which one of your parents died. Because I only had 2 other brothers, and I got drafted 5th one time, and I wanted to fight. I was like, what you mean you gonna draft her? She 5'2".
Hit the critical James theory, yo. Just so look at the critical James theory, yo.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. Another episode of Critical James Theory. I'm your host, James Knight, and with me in the studio today is a voice that you've heard already, some of our conversation.
Yeah.
A very funny stand-up from Washington, D.C. You've seen him performing alongside names like Asif Ali, I think I said that right.
Yeah.
Andrew Santino, Steve-O, and David Koechner.
Yeah.
I like saying that name. His hilarious comedy album, Look at Me, is available right now. You can go buy it, stream it, all that stuff. Mr. Dee Ahmed.
Hello, everybody. This is dope. Thank you so much for having me, James. This is awesome.
Hell yeah. I'm glad you came, man. This is great. You got a spot or 2 tonight?
Yeah, I've got 2 with Next in Line Comedy at their new little space called The Coop, I think it is.
Coop is dope.
It is very cool. I went there once, but I was like bouncing around. They gave me so many like good directions on, okay, if you're going to do this show, then you could probably hit up this place and this place and this place. And I was in Ubers running 1,000 miles an hour. But by the end of the night, I was like, I had 4 spots and they were all amazing. And I had a great time the entire time. Only thing I was bummed about, I didn't get to see Chanel Ali's set. I was really bummed about that. She's amazing.
Was that when she was at Helium?
No, she was at Next in Line. She just popped in. I don't know if it wasn't the Don't Tell show. That was at a coffee shop. But she popped in, and I've been a fan of hers for like years now.
She's a killer.
Oh, yeah. And she's like pride of Philly, so I want to watch the badasses of the city and stuff.
She's such a killer. She said one thing. I think I might have been working that Next in Line show because Chanel was on did perform right before Daryl Charles. And she said something that is always going to stick with me. I guess it was a guy. The audience wasn't giving up nothing. Like, the audience was fucking sitting on their hands the whole night. And she comes in, she's full, like, fucking New York comic energy. And there was, well, I guess there was one guy, his back was to me, but he was like, sitting like this. And every so often she was just like, uncross your arms, let the comedy in. Like, come on. Like, just let the comedy in, man.
Isn't that the best when you get like little nuggets of like, that's such a good line too. Come on, uncross your arms. This feels challenging right now. We shouldn't be fighting. Let the fun stuff in.
Yeah, you bought a ticket. You bought a ticket. You came out. You parked your car.
Yeah. That's all. I am appreciative of like really good audiences that do spend money. Like they could have been doing anything. I appreciate that. So it means a lot to get on stage because I'm not entitled to it at all. But the fact that like people do sit down, especially if they know who I am and stuff, that blows my mind. I got freaked out when I put out my album. Someone quoted my album, like one of the jokes from my album, and it scared the shit out of me. I was not prepared for it. They were like, man, that joke about your dad, like doing the bedtime stories, that was funny. And I was like, you're not supposed to know that. That's for like the nighttime sort of joke. We're at brunch right now, man. I don't want to hear this.
How do you know me? Like, that did, like, oddly enough, that happened to me. Like,
nice.
And it was weird. It was even weird, even though it didn't happen in person. It happened on the internet. Like, I went to WrestleMania 40 earlier on in April, and there was just it wasn't even a video on my channel about WrestleMania. It was just a regular episode that I posted up, and somebody commented like, "Yo, I saw you at WrestleMania, bro." I was like,
"Which one did you go to? Night 1 or night 2?"
Night 1.
Oh, okay. That one was pretty cool.
That one was cool. It was very cold.
Yeah?
It was very cold outside. It was odd. It was odd that the next night was super warm.
Really?
That it was cold. Like me and another comedian named Marsley were up in the bleeders. But like, not a bad seat in the house. Like I thought in my head, I thought this was going to be a bad seat because we were behind the WrestleMania sign, like behind the entrance.
Yeah.
And I was like, we're not going to see. But it's like you don't get to see, 5-8 seconds of them walking down the thing.
Basically.
You know what I mean? You still see the fireworks. There's big-ass screens everywhere.
Oh.
Like.
Yeah, then you're fine. Like, if there's no bad seats, that would have been surreal. I think that's, like, on my bucket list is to, like, go to major events and WrestleMania is on there. And knowing comedy, there's a weird Venn diagram where, like, comedians will be massive wrestling fans.
Yeah.
And I'll slowly, like, kind of figure out who they are.
Yeah.
And then I'll, like, let me go ahead and look back up, like, a few different things and see a couple of updates and stuff. It was cool, though. Like, I saw that The Rock came back. Mm-hmm. I saw that they had Cody Rhodes. His entire story arc is insane. Mm-hmm. And then him finishing the story, which is what he kept on saying and I kept on hearing. That was kind of nuts. I feel like everyone's going to miss Roman, though. That guy was the truth.
Yeah, I love Roman. Like, I was in there, like, I was throwing up my ones.
The ones,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I was also, like, cheering for Cody. Like, I don't give a fuck, really. Like, I'm just here to have a good time.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not 13. I don't have any hard allegiances. Like, there was one, like, years, maybe about in 2015, my cousin and I went to the Royal Rumble over at the Wells Fargo Center. Mm-hmm. And this was when, like, everybody hated Roman, right? Like, everybody was like, boo, fuck this guy. And I was like, fucking this fucking asshole. Like, fuck that. And then, like, he did his Shield entrance.
Yeah, when he won, and then people booed him, right?
Yeah, we were there.
I remember this.
And, like, I was talking mad shit. And then he did his Shield entrance, when he would end the thing. And it was right by us. And as soon as he walked by, I was like, yo, what's up, dude? My nigga. I was like,
oh, God.
Full bitch.
There's 100. I know exactly what you're talking about. Because, like, living in D.C., I hate the Dallas Cowboys to almost an unnatural.
It hurts, but
no
I get
disrespect.
I get it. It hurts.
It's just.
I realize I'm in enemy territory anywhere I go on the East.
I completely understand. I mean, like, I don't necessarily love any Philly team or anything, but I don't hate anyone from Philadelphia.
Right.
So anytime I say, like, I'm a Washington fan, they immediately are aggressively mean to me. Yeah. And then I thought to myself, man, if I ever saw, like, Micah Parsons, I probably would tell him, go to hell, like, I hate you or something like that. But I know in my mind, as soon as he would walk by, I would be like, I am your biggest fan. I have been a fan of you since you were at Penn State. You were an amazing football player. How do I know all these things about this player? I have no idea. And I thought about this all the time. But, yeah, if I would have seen Roman in person, even if I had, like, a visceral hatred of him, which I don't, I probably would have done the exact same thing. I'd be like, I like you a lot. You're really talented.
He was right there. Like, he gave me the, grown-ass man. Just
wrestling events are insane. I've only been to one, like one real one. It was a pay-per-view. It was in Boston for, it was Hell in a Cell. And it was for my buddy's bachelor party. And it was Halloween weekend. So it was one of the most outrageous experiences I've ever had in my entire life because it was me and like 30 dudes. So we all fly into Boston. Never been to Boston, never had an interest to go to Boston very much. But then I'm in Boston and then I get a tap on the shoulder and it says, "Hey man, we're all dressing as characters from the actual WrestleMania." And we were like, "What?" And they're like, "Yeah, he's going to be Macho Man Randy Savage." And I'm like, I don't even think he's alive anymore, but all right. And then another person was this person. And then me and these two other dudes, we were a New Day. Yeah. So I thought it would be kind of stupid and kind of funny. So we put on, like, we had tights. Like, they were just leggings. So I had leggings with, what was it? It was like unicorn leggings. And it was we were all drunk and we were having fun and we were walking the streets of Boston and everyone's in full regalia. Yep. And then I remember seeing like two teenage boys riding on bikes and they're like, "Y'all look like some bitches." And we all cowered. We were like, "Thank you. Yes, that we are those as well."
Teenagers are so like
youths.
Oh God. Like, even when I was a teenager, I was also like, man, teenagers are fucking scary.
I know if I get one insult from a child, I will think about it all the time and be very angry. Like I got married a year ago, so now I have like this new niece, and she, when we were at like a birthday or something, she told me at one point her boyfriend could probably bench more than me. She's 14 years old. I'm in my 30s. As soon as she said that, I haven't benched in years. But immediately I look at my wife, because I see the kid walk in like 30 minutes later, and I was like, he can't bench more than me. I can fucking bench more than him. What the fuck was she even talking about? And she's like, oh my God, you're going to make this a thing. Please just stop thinking about that right now. And I hate children. I hate them so much. I hate them so much.
Did you guys bench?
No.
Okay.
We're at a birthday party. We're in suits and stuff. We're like hanging out with family, and I don't even know him like that. We've spoken maybe for 10 seconds. He lives in Cleveland. I live in DC. I'm gonna see that kid maybe once a year if they stay together.
Yeah. Big if.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Hell yeah, man. So you say are you from DC?
Yeah, I was born in like DC proper in Columbia Women's Hospital. So I was born like just slightly north of Georgetown. Okay. And after there, I moved to the suburbs of Arlington, Virginia, which is white Wakanda. It is a delightful place. I love it. I hate that people talk shit about it. I don't know why people are mean about suburbs. Yeah. It's like, I grew up with a front yard and a backyard. My bad. Like, I didn't know you were going to hate me because of that.
Right. I remember we moved from a rural hood called Pennsgrove in southern New Jersey to the suburbs around 6th grade. And I remember, like, at first I was like, fucking shit ain't real out here. And I wasn't in the street. I was in the house. Like,
no, isn't that fun? Isn't that fun being like a suburban, like I'm hood, and you're like, no, you're not. Like you're not. You're not at all.
I was like, this place fits my sensibilities more so than the place that I used to live. I was scared a lot.
Yeah. My younger brother, we kind of diverted in paths, so he's a bit more rough around the edges than I am. But I remember one time we were at like a function or something, and he was talking to like these people because he wasn't like they weren't from there. And like, so what was it like growing up around here? And he was like, oh man, it was really tough. It was really tough. Like, you know, like you don't even know what's gonna happen sometimes. And I look at him, I'm like, you got a car at like 16, man. Like you were fine. You were okay. We had 7 siblings and. We had like 10 people in our family, and you were all right. Like it was. Why are you acting like you were rough around the edges? You weren't. You weren't at all. My dad would get pissed as shit if he heard us like saying like, "Oh man, we grew up real tough." And he's like, "I grew up in Africa. Why are we talking?"
Right.
Why are we talking?
It's not comparative, right? Like,
No.
7 siblings.
Yeah, I'm one of 8 kids, and mom and dad 10 total. So yeah.
Wow, my parents come from big families, but me, nah, only.
Lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems fun. It's like, like we're both weird, but like in different ways. Yeah. Like I can see, like, cause being an only child, I imagine you meet other only children and you like kind of vibe pretty
it's like
easily.
I at least understand you.
Yeah. Right? Anytime I meet another person with over 6 or 5 siblings, I always look at them like, oh, you're weird like me, right? And they're like, yeah, I'm weird as shit. I'm like, what's your weird thing? They're like, I can't, all the doors have to be locked. All the doors have to be locked. I really met someone that was like that. They couldn't handle if a door wasn't locked if they were in the room where the door was. So if there was a room without a lock on it, they would freak out a little bit. They'd be uncomfortable. I don't know why. It's like little things like that.
Yeah. That is strange. Like, is it possible to, with 7 siblings, were you all like around each other at the same time? Or like,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, is it possible to be an introvert with all those people around?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, like, some of my siblings are more introverted, but when we're around each other, we're all talkative. Yeah. We don't have a choice about that. It's just, if you don't talk, everyone's worried about you. And that's the only thing I knew. It was fun, though. I loved having 7 siblings. I loved coming from, like, a big family. It was weird, though. My parents solved arguments with 5-on-5 basketball games. That was pretty wild. You take your 4, I'll take my 4.
settle it out front.
Oh yeah. If you weren't drafted in the top 3, it was like how you figured out which one of your parents thought. Because I only had 2 other brothers, and I got drafted 5th one time, and I wanted to fight. I was like, "What you mean you gonna draft her? She 5'2".
That's how you feel about me? This is how you tell me right now?
And I know this is why my mom did it. She was probably like, it's going to motivate him. He's just manipulating in like the smallest of ways. It was fun.
He needs this.
Yeah.
Like, you guys know he needs this. Oh, man. Were you a religious family at all?
My parents are Muslim.
Mm-hmm.
They are conservative Muslims. That didn't necessarily take from me. I tried to just be respectful of other people's beliefs. But for the most part, it didn't really make sense to me when I got older because there's like things about Islam that I can't wrap my head around.
Sure.
Because like there's such a division with the religion, with men and women, that there's almost like I didn't understand why my mom had to wear like a headscarf. A hijab. I was like, I don't get that. And then my dad was like, oh, it's because of our religion. And I was like, you use that very much as like kind of a big cloak of like, we do it because of religion. And I'm like, you didn't really explain it to me. And then it got painfully ruined for me because there was like this conversation about like inheritance. And when you have 7 siblings, the conversation will pop up randomly sometimes. And it was hilarious. Because 5 sisters, 3 brothers. And then when they broke down, when my dad told me when him and his siblings had to split up stuff because of my grandparents passing away, he was like, oh, yeah, well, I got a full share. My brothers, they got full shares. My sisters got half shares. And I was like, what was that? What was that? And he's like, oh, yeah, like this is like, I don't know if it's Somali or if it's Islam, but your sisters would get half shares. And I looked at my sisters. I was like, y'all hear that? It takes 2 of you to outvote me now. And that immediately went away. They were like, hell nah, hell. And they got angry. And then we just have been going back and forth about this for like 5 years. It is hilarious at this point. Do I want anything? Absolutely not. I do not care. I'll just be bummed my parents aren't there. But the fact that like the discussion of like how the religious sort of implications of an inheritance comes into play, that completely changes the way you look at like certain things in a religion. But I don't know. Yeah. I went to like my parents let me go to Catholic school when I went to college, so it was not really anything. My wife is Jewish. Like doesn't really make sense.
Oh yeah.
So I don't care.
Nah. But yeah, like I grew up Jehovah's Witness, so it's like similar in a way.
Yeah.
Saying I left. It never really took for the same reasons. But like, yeah, I never really got down with how it was always funny in a way, in a fucked up way, but I never really got down with how they treated like, the women and like like there was this thing it was even funny at the time too, but like the men were the only ones allowed to like speak in front of an audience, but the women, they weren't allowed to address the audience, but they were allowed to do like these skits, these like sketches on Thursday nights when we had like our main meetings. They would put that. I've seen my mom prepare for them. They would have like a specific scenario, like you and a coworker in a break room, and you're trying to assist them in maybe converting, and like you would watch them do this for like 5 minutes. It was like an acting class. It was so weird. Like
just you're throwing out like yes hands like it's improv. Oh gosh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, I had to do many a read through with my mom.
Oh my god, just running lines about converting people. That's amazing.
I had to be the coworker. I'd be like, okay, well,
Oh, boy.
I don't know. I'm Catholic. Like
Jehovah's Witnesses, are they in like the same not realm, but like going to like the door and knocking on the door? Okay.
I don't know how much they do it now because like.
It seems like it's Mormons' like gig now.
I think they took it over. I think Jehovah's Witnesses kind of just stand on a corner with like a book thing, like where like a little A sign with like pamphlets. It's gotten real lazy. You know what I mean? It's gotten real. Like, I honestly, I wished when I was a kid, I wish that it would have saved me from so many fights in school.
Yeah.
Because you know how many like fights I had to do, like because you know Saturday morning and you're in your neighborhood and you're going to your some kid's house, knocking on the door in a fucking ill-fitting suit with a watchtower while they're watching fucking cartoons. And you got to ask them for their parents, and they're looking at you like, I'm going to see you on Monday, motherfucker. This is great. I'm like, God damn it.
Oh, man, that is hilarious.
Yeah.
I can't imagine, like, how many times you go into the cafeteria and be like, we saw you in that suit last weekend.
Where you suit at, bro? You got a watchtower today? I'm like, all right.
Yeah. My parents tried to raise me pretty religious when I was a kid, but by the time we got older, it kind of changed. And I remember, like, my dad said something, and I'll never forget it. It was really poignant because he said, "You're young. Be young. Be young and silly. Just if you decide you're going to become religious, don't half-ass it. Like, either you're in or you're not doing it, because the last thing I would want is if you would be one of those people where you're Muslim, but like you drink on the weekends, and like you're Muslim, but you don't like you won't eat pork." And I'm like, what? Right. I don't. So he told me it's okay to not be right now, but when you get older and life slows down a little bit, then start thinking about it. And I was like, okay,
it's fair.
Hasn't slowed down yet, so I'm good. I'm good. Following his rules.
Hell yeah. Before we take a quick break, I want to share one quick thing about almost is a bit of a stretch, but I considered Islam once.
Really?
I had a really convincing barber.
Oh, that's how it always happens.
Really convincing barber, super cool. And like there was one time I did Ramadan. I was like I did it. I just
in
like
solidarity.
Yeah, I just did it. I was like, you know what, fuck
That's
it.
insane to
did
me.
It. I just did it. I lost so much. I was in such good shape. But I remember when I figured out this wouldn't work. It's such a stupid thing. We went to a corner store and had bought a bag of fruit snacks, gummy bears, or whatever.
Oh, the gelatin.
And I was throwing them back, and I was like, "Yo, you want some?" He was like, "Nah, I can't have." And I was like,
"Yeah."
What do you mean you can't have any? He was like, "Nah, it's got pork." And I was like, "Hey, you bullshit." I thought he was goofing. He was like, "Nah," he showed me in the bag mono and diglycerized pork. And I was just like, in my head, I was like,
it makes you feel weird, right?
I don't think this is going to work for me. I love gummy bears too much.
I like gummy bears too. It was gummy worms. I remember when they told me, and I was like, "What is this propaganda?" And I was like 6. I was just furious. I'm like, and I'm looking up research like about the calorie and like the amount of gelatin per fucking ounce, and it was so stupid. But I remember like coming back to my dad and showing him, "Dad, all right, I did a research paper, and turns out it's made with vegetable-based gelatin, so technically it's okay." And he's like, "Does it say gelatin?" And I was like, "Yeah, it does, but it's vegetable-based." And he's like, "Then it's pork." And I'm like, "Well, all right, man. Damn, all right. I get it." And I would try to like explain to him why it wasn't, and then he would just be like, "Why are you lying to me?" And it was like, it's not... He was so... This is stupid, but my dad, when it came to like Islam, one time, it was not even Islam. It's just how hilariously like tough my dad was randomly about dumb stuff. Like one time he told me that daylight savings wasn't a real thing. And I was like, that's not how it works, man. It's a real thing. All the clocks, they got to go back. I'm technically not even late to come into the house. I could stay out for another hour. And he was like, "Why are you lying to me?" And I was like, "What?" He's like, "Why would you lie to me in front of your family like this? There is no daylight savings in this house." And I was like, "Okay." And then there wasn't for like a year. And my mom got angry. And she was like, "Everyone's either late or early to everything. And we don't like it anymore."
I love that. That's nuts.
So she told me I had to change all the clocks at night while my dad was still asleep. So I did. And it was the most embarrassing thing. But it all made total sense because he was like, he's dad. You can't really argue with him. And I'm like, no, you can't, because he doesn't reason to like normal thought process of how things break down. Daylight, and now we're getting older, and now daylight savings is about to go away, and I'm like, God damn it, he stood 10 toes in the ground about this, and I have to fucking recognize it and just be like, he was always right. He was always right. This is just propaganda by farms or something.
Fucking Farmer's Almanac.
Yeah.
We're going to take a quick little break, and we're going to come back with some theories.
Okay.
So you got to put the leg up like this.
Yeah. See, that way you don't get sciatica. Like, what the fuck?
Hell yeah. This is a question that I want to ask before we get into theories. Why Look at Me? Why is the album called Look at Me?
Oh, it was like a snap decision one day. It was there was this movie called Captain Phillips, and when I first started to do stand-up comedy, like Captain Phillips was out already for like a little while. So anyone that would hear that I was from Somalia, they would just immediately do this whole thing. Look at me, like it was from the movie. And it was like a meme, and Barkhad Apti was like nominated for an Oscar. He was the guy that said, look at me. And I just was getting so annoyed by people saying it that it turned into like jokes about, it was some of the first jokes that I wrote about like being like this whole Somali piracy thing. And I thought it was really funny. And then at the very beginning, because I feel like when you're doing long format sets that are like over 20 minutes, you need to have like something that shows like who you are, where you're from, like give us the backstory of who you are. That way we can kind of figure out your thought process of things when you're going forward. Or at least that was the narrative that I wanted to do. So I was talking about being from Somalia, how I liked it and how I enjoyed like messing with people at marathons. And I was like, and Somalis, we're not even great at marathons or anything. We're good at piracy, apparently. But it was like, it was going to be impossible to explain like how piracy really started. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I'm just going to make fun of Tom Hanks. And I was going to just make fun of Tom Hanks and all these people saying, look at me. So I just joked around with my editor, and he's like, what do you want to call it? I was like, I don't know, look at me or something. I just said it in passing, and then before I knew it, things started moving really fast, and I never thought of a better one. And I was like, it's fine. I do not care about the name. If anything, it plays into like what everyone already was going to say if they heard my set. So I thought it was funny.
Oh, yeah. I think the thing that stood out for me, too, is like, it's got a great cover.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, comedy artwork. He's incredible. He's this graphic designer that lives down in like the DMV, but he does the artwork for amazing, like some of the best comics on the planet. Mm-hmm. Like Ari Shaffir, Mark Norman, Shane Gillis. Like he works with like Joe Rogan. He's been mentioned on Joe Rogan. He has been mentioned on, oh gosh, so many different ones. Like Big J Okerson. He's like on a first name basis with Bobby Kelly. It is kind of insane how he built his brand. And he still does stuff for like the local comic every once in a while. Mm-hmm. So when I asked him, hey, could you make me a piece of art for my comedy show? I didn't think I was going to put it on an album cover, but he did it in like an almost absurd amount of time. Like it was only like a week and a half, 2 weeks. And he just asked me, hey, just give me ideas of like what you kind of like. So I just sent him art pieces and like a picture that I was using as a headshot. I thought it was just going to be like a reference piece, but it actually turned into 1,000 times better than what I would have ever wanted.
Man, who's this guy?
His name's Brian, but he goes by Comedy Artwork on Instagram. If you get the chance, look him up and commission him to like do artwork for you.
Yeah.
But he does really, really cool stuff all the time.
Bro, I'm hoping he'll come slumming and maybe help me.
If you need one for this podcast, he will absolutely probably do one. He does one all the time for like local showcases and stuff and local shows, and they're always dope. Like I have mine framed from when they put mine up on the wall at the club that I did my recording at. and they let me sign it and stuff, and then they kept one copy. So the other copy I just framed and I put in my my office right now, and I'm like, I get to look at it and smile every day. So it makes me happy as hell.
Hell yeah. Shout out to DC, by the way. I went to school with a lot of DC kids.
Oh, good.
And I learned some things. I learned a few things. I learned.
What do you make it sound like?
No, I just said I learned what go-go was. It wasn't what I thought it was when they first started. When I said go-go, I was like, "Oh, we gonna see some titties?" It was like, no. It's like 5 dudes on stage. Like there's a bongo.
Yep. Yep.
There's a guy kind of rapping.
Kind of an acoustic cover that doesn't make sense, but it has a certain beat and a certain bass. I think it's great. You got to go when it's like a live show.
Yeah.
See, like Rare Essence or something. Yeah. They're amazing. But I've trying to, because I was in college and one guy, he was from, I want to say he was actually from Philly. He was on the basketball team and he hung out in DC a bunch, and we were in the middle of like this show or this no, it wasn't a comedy show. It was just like a party at like some house near the campus, and he started playing go-go music because he heard I was gonna go, and I was like, hell yeah, and he's like, hell yeah, and then all the people around us were like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah,
is this is an Ashley Simpson song. And I was like, it is kind of a cover. It's hard to explain.
Yeah, I know exactly that song, and it goes fucking hard.
It does. It does. It's so good. And
it's almost. I would say I would rather listen to that than the original.
Yes, 100%. There's so many of them that are great, but that one, I don't know why, but it was like the hottest shit in the streets for like 4 years for some reason.
Tough dudes just riding down the street.
And then you just hear, I'm like, those are Ashley Simpson bars.
I love at one of the homecoming concerts. I went to Delaware State University.
Oh, okay.
And there was like, I think it was like, there was like Cameron, it was like Dipset was there, and everybody was like, ah, and it was like Freeway and Beanie Siegel, but Junkyard Band,
yeah,
and that's like the tall dude from The Wire.
Yeah,
they were on stage, and like I was used to it by then because I was almost out of there, but like it was funny seeing people experience it for the first time, like people from New Jersey or Philly or Delaware, and they were just like very like. They're like the DC and the Maryland kids, and the Virginia kids. They were just fucking. They were dancing. I can never dance like that. Just my limbs don't do that.
Oh, you'll do it like Justin
elastic.
Timberlake when he was Justin Timberlake was at like this concert that Pharrell put on in DC, and he just screamed, "Beat your feet!" and then he just fucking did and everyone's like, we do not claim that. We do not claim that.
No.
He got on like Instagram or something. He was like, why would you betray me, feet? And I'm like, yes, repent for your sins.
But like they were up there performing, and like college kids, they weren't really feeling it, and like somebody threw a half a Fruitopia bottle up there, and it hit somebody, and tall dude stopped it. He was like, hey. His voice he's got this real booming voice.
Yeah.
And he was like, y'all some college kids. He's like, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. It's like, but if we weren't on a college campus, you guys might be dead right now. Like, knock it off and let us do our jobs. And everybody was kind of just like, you're right. And then he went right back to it. It's like, that's pretty fucking cool.
That's hilarious.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Do you have any This is my favorite part. This is why I call this show Critical James Theory. Is I like to talk about any theories, silly or otherwise, that you might have. I feel like you might have one.
I have so many dumb theories that are like what I believe is happening. But that's just being raised around the D.C. area for my entire life.
Oh, we're talking government shit.
Oh, yeah. We could go that way. I could tell you about how I think elephants are witches. That's kind of fun. Like, that's always fun to talk about. It was... So So, okay, elephants are witches. Here's why. I can already feel this like being a clip on TikTok right now. Okay, elephants are witches. The reason why is because elephants, unlike most animals, actually bury their dead. And not only do they bury their dead, they also mourn their dead. And the way that they mourn their dead is they will grab very large sticks that are probably like, I don't know, just big enough that they would actually be able to grab it by the trunk. And they would grab it by the trunk, and depending on the lunar cycle, depending on if it's a full moon or if it is a full moon, after they bury their dead, they'll go back to the burial spot. And during the full moon, they'll grab these very large sticks and they'll wave them around like witches. And then it sounds insane. And the reason why it sounds so crazy is because all of that is made up. But I'm African, so I can get away with saying shit like that. And people will just be like, oh my God, that is crazy. But elephants are a Harry Potter world. And I love doing that. It's my favorite.
I leaned in. I was like, all right.
I know. You're like,
Okay.
where's he going? Yeah, I have heard about animals burying themselves.
I was 2 seconds from opening a new tab. I was like, oh, let me. Wow, this is fucking fascinating.
It's like my favorite thing. It's like I could make up something like that, but the fact that I said elephants, people were like, well, he is from East Africa. So like, yeah, it probably
firsthand,
checked out.
you know.
And I'm like,
Firsthand
I
knowledge,
was
I
raised in the suburbs, man. Like, I don't know. Like,
Have you not been listening?
yeah. It's such a dumb, hilarious thing that I was thinking about it. And I was like, how crazy could I go with this? And then I was like adding on different pieces and adding on different pieces. And I swear to you, I said this at a comedy show one time. And it was just because there was nothing to, like, everyone was bombing. And it was just a bad show, but at the same time, I'm like, I came out tonight, so I want to have some fun. So I started saying it, and I was just like, how long can I go before someone pulls out a phone and checks? So the second I saw someone pull out a phone, I was like, and none of that is true. Not one word. How crazy would that be if it was real? And people thought that they believed it for like way too long. So that's the one dumb theory. There's other ones government-wise. There's crazy things happening in D.C. Like, we're all privy to it. So we understand when certain BS sort of things come out into the news and everyone tries to make it like a huge thing when it's not actually what's really happening. TikTok being banned. Everyone thinks that TikTok is about to be banned. And it's fine to think that. Is it actually going to happen? Like, is it going to happen in 9 months where they shut it down? I cannot say like I am a part of that discussion. I can speak on it from a casual bystander that grew up and works very close to the Capitol, and I go to lunch with people that work on the Hill. I'm not saying that any of that isn't true. I'm saying that basically there's no way to do it. Like, there's not a real way to do it. Because every action, like making it very public, you got 9 months to either sell or we're going to kick you out of the United States. Which means that one thing's going to happen. TikTok, ByteDance is going to end up suing the U.S. government. And once they sue the U.S. government, the way that our bureaucracy works is it's going to end up needing to climb so many different court systems because it's going to constantly get appealed and then it's going to get elevated, constantly appealed. And it's not going to stop until it hits the Supreme Court. And by that time, I'm not exaggerating, it's probably going to be years before it actually goes away. And even if it does go away, it's going to become a different thing. They're probably going to migrate and dissolve the company for what it is as TikTok and end up starting up a new organization in the United States, check all the boxes, and then become TikTok under a different name, like Tacto or some shit. And that's how that's how it's probably going to work. Yeah. The government is always plotting against us. That's real. And 9 times out of 10, it's about money. It's always about money. Yeah. You think that politicians go into the service to become like public servants? The reality is 50% of them get into it for public service. The other 50% get into it for the two things that the earlier 50% will realize, which is it's about fame and money. And how can I parlay this into never having to have a normal 9-to-5 job again? All I have to do is be kind of popular, well-spoken, in the right situation, and then I have to also have a very loose sense of morals and accountability because I need to be able to say the things that I need to say in order to get the votes that I need to get. So if I have to pander to some of the craziest, most insane people in the world, cool, as long as I don't have to clock in and clock out. And that's what they want, most of them, at least, at this point. There are a few good eggs, but it just kind of depends.
Even the good eggs, though. The good eggs.
They're not great.
No, shout out to AOC. Like, even...
She's good.
She's good, but also she has, like, a couple houses.
Now...
I don't have one.
No.
You know what I mean? The average motherfucker don't have one.
She got the vote. She's now gotten the celebrity. So not only does she have the celebrity and the notoriety, the idea of her ever doing anything beyond what she is doing, impossible. She can't get the votes to ever get the entire United States to actually vote for her, so that won't happen. She could not... she would possibly mess up someone else's running opportunity if they appointed her as VP. So she can't be on a ticket. But could she rise below that? Yep. Is that possible?
Sure.
A lot of those people are very old. They are going to be on that job for the rest of their lives.
They're going to die in that chair.
It's going to be a Feinstein-like sort of situation. They're not going to quit. They're either going to be voted out by someone that can rally their community into actually getting the votes, or it's never going to happen. And it's just going to be very, very old people in office for a very long time. This is not the end. It is just going to continue. It's going to be two people. They're both 90 next time around. Yeah.
It is what it is, man.
Yeah.
You guys are a lot closer to it, so it's like...
No, that's the thing. No one in D.C. actually likes talking politics, which totally makes sense because we all are very, like, educated and well and adjusted in the sense that we know... Like, this is ridiculous. We understand that Marjorie Taylor Greene is fucking crazy. I've been in an elevator with her one time. And it's hilarious because she is so uncomfortable around black people. It's hilarious. She's so uncomfortable. She hid behind someone when I was on there, and I was like, "This is funny. This is funny."
Like.
No, I just started jumping on the elevator to see if I could make it shake a little bit. I'm like, if I'm going down, at least I'm doing one good thing right. Yeah, she's trash.
Oh, God.
Some of them are terrible. Other ones, the NBA. I feel like there's some theories that I have about the NBA that are pretty fun. I feel like the whole, betting scandal that happened a few years, that's might be over in the sense of them betting on it, but games sort of being rigged.
Oh yeah,
that's happening.
Yeah,
that's
I 100%
happening.
Believe that.
That is 100% still happening. So if you ever feel like you, as a Philadelphia 76ers fan, feel like the refs are out to get you and they are just calling these BS calls on all your players, they are. They're doing it on purpose because they know one thing. Philadelphia needs to either get to a conference final and win, but not yet. Right. And they want it to happen, just not yet. They want Denver to win one more. Yeah. And they want them to play against someone else. Yeah. And then 2025, 2026.
Right. There's a couple of good white players that are like, hey, we got to tackle this.
We got to make sure these guys get a little further. Yeah. Miami, we got to go ahead and showcase these fellas.
Yeah, you know what I mean? We got Jokic, we got who else? Fucking Doncic. Like you got to make sure those guys get their
we got to get them a
first.
little bit more.
You know?
A little bit more.
White people are tired of talking about Bird. They're like, great, but
oh my God, are they?
I don't
think so. They're still doing it. They're still doing it. It is hilarious. You can kind of tell if someone has like a racial bias whenever you say, hey, who is the greatest player of all time? If they don't say Jordan or LeBron or Kobe or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar or someone that kind of makes sense. And they're like, look, I'm just saying I'm a big fan of the fundamentals. And Larry Bird had all of them. John Stockton, good, but Larry Bird was 6'9". He would dominate in the NBA today. No, the fuck he wouldn't.
No.
There's no way he would. He would never be able to do that.
No.
Oh, no.
One jab step, please.
Yeah. One jab step, he is going to tear everything in both knees trying to play defense against, like, I don't know, Fox from, like, the Sacramento Kings. Like, just trying to chase him up and down the court.
Good luck.
Yeah, that's
Good
my
fucking
opinion.
luck.
That's my opinion. That's my opinion.
No, you're right. Because you like the last game that they Sixers played in New York. I'm sitting there watching it, and I didn't really believe. I was like, I'm making this up. Like, I'm tired. I'm not really. Nope. He was sitting there calling timeout. Referee looked dead at him like, cool. And I was like, oh shit,
Yeah.
this is happening. This is like right in front of our faces. And then NBA afterwards was like, yeah, they fucked up.
Yeah. And then there's
on.
no repercussions.
Nah.
They move on and like, all right, next game's the day after tomorrow. Fuck your team.
One of my favorite conspiracy theories, sports wise, was like, just is football related. Like I just think it's interesting that shortly after certain tragedies in certain places, their team starts to all of a sudden be great. After Katrina,
Yeah.
why are we talking about the Saints? Why are the Saints great now?
Okay.
Like,
I can argue against that a little bit.
okay, please.
But point one, the Saints, the reason why they were good is because Drew Brees. Drew Brees is a once-in-a-generation quarterback that came off of injury, so everyone discounted him, counted him out, and Sean Payton believed in him so much that he gave him the keys to the kingdom and gave him everything that he wanted. It was a perfect situation for him to succeed. Drew Brees is the only reason why the Saints were good. That being said, after a tragedy, not so much. You know why? Because there was a player in Washington. His name was Sean Taylor. He was the heart and soul of our defense. He was one of the best. Yeah, he was one of the best safeties that have ever played football. He was incredible, right up there with the whole argument of Troy Polamalu and Ed Reed. There's got to be a discussion about Sean Taylor being right up there, in my opinion, but I'm biased. After Sean Taylor was tragically murdered and killed, and it was very, very sad, somber time, there was one of the weirdest decisions by the Washington football team that I had ever heard of. They wanted to play on their defense for the first play without Sean Taylor with only 10 players rather than 11. So they went out there with 10 players to honor Sean Taylor. And the team we were playing broke off a run or a catch or something for like 50-plus yards. We barely caught him right before a possible touchdown. And you know he wanted to get the touchdown, but he felt terrible. And he was like, all right, man, we'll work on it. Right, we did not win that game. We were terrible for years and years to come. And we're still dealing with that. So, no, I don't think after a tragedy they get better sometimes.
Now, my only counter argument to this is that that's a tragedy to black people.
Yeah, true.
Which in America doesn't really count as a tragedy.
No, just 3/5.
Katrina also killed white people.
True. Okay.
That's my only counterpoint. Otherwise, I'm with you.
All right.
But the death of a rich black athlete, largely America is like, all right.
There was flooding in Houston a few years ago, and the Texans weren't good. They weren't.
They're good now.
Yeah, they built their team around a once-in-a-generation quarterback named C.J. Stroud, who's incredible for a second-year quarterback to drag that team all the way to the playoffs in the first place. I hate that we drafted a quarterback, but at the same time, I completely understand. You got to take big swings, and we be missing a lot.
Despite my dislike for the Washington football team, I will say that you guys drafted very good. You guys drafted very good. The only thing, and this is more of a sympathy thing, and no jokes, like Dan Quinn is your head coach.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, Dan Quinn will Dan Quinn.
Yeah.
And it'll be at the worst time. He did it with Dallas. Surprise, all of a sudden we get smoked by the Packers, right? He did it with the Falcons.
Yeah.
They're up by, 20-something at halftime.
Yeah.
Now granted they're playing Tom Brady, I get it, but you're also a professional football team who made it here. If you're whooping them that bad, you shouldn't choke that bad. The biggest choke, probably arguably in NFL, arguably.
Our team has the decency to be shitty the entire time. You Dallas fans, they give you too much hope. Come over on this side of the coin. It's
we're
all,
there.
We've accepted what
We're
we're
getting
going
there.
to possibly get. We are fine with it. We're dead inside. And I love that for us. Because now we don't have to deal with things like hope. I just want us to be a passable, good team that does well on the field. Not any more controversies, not poop pipes falling on people during games. I don't want to hear that we nearly murdered Jalen Hurts from fans falling off of a... He almost died there. Like, we all watched it. And I don't want to see any more ACLs just explode magically on our field.
Yeah.
I hate us. I love us so much, but I hate us. Your team, God, it's your quarterback. You guys gotta let Dak go.
I have a soft spot for Dak in my biracial heart.
That's fine.
I have a soft spot for him. But a lot of times what happens is they often will set up their quarterback for failure.
Yes.
Because they don't want to pay them the proper amount of money, or
they did
what
pay
they
him
should.
though, didn't they?
No, they need to now. They're supposed to, and they're doing things like bringing Trey Lance aboard. Like, hey, guess what? We got your younger
Another
replacement
light
here.
skin.
That we're gonna fuck over a couple years from now.
Just the
Anyway.
way our owner likes it.
That's one thing that we can agree on. Fuck Jerry Jones. Like, I don't.
Oh, he's terrible. He's terrible.
Just ugh.
He's a bad
fuck
person.
every owner, honestly. Like that's the one thing too. Like I always give like my Philadelphia Eagle friends shit about is like, yes, Jerry Jones is terrible, but all NFL owners are terrible. They all are.
Not as bad as Dan Snyder was for the Washington football team for over 15 years of my life. That man is legally terrible.
Yes.
Like, that guy
lot of him
should
hasn't-
be in jail. And instead, they gave him $1 billion to go away. Oh,
But a lot of every human that has made that much money that can
not like a normal person anymore? Yeah.
you've done things. We might not know about it yet. Like everyone likes to, let's just take Philly for example. Their owner, Howie something.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know it yet.
Mm-hmm.
There's something dark in there. You don't amass that amount of wealth to throw at athletes
True.
without some dirt under there. We just don't know it yet.
Okay.
He just does a real good job at hiding it.
I refuse to speak ill of any Philly team. I can only say that your fans are intense and sometimes
Very
mean.
intense. Jesus Christ.
And I respect it. I understand it. Jamie Pappas, please don't come for me.
Ah.
And I'm saying that you guys are intense, but that's because there's a deep-seated love for your team or the team of Philadelphia. I always find it hilarious that you guys sing that song. They sing the songs like nobody likes us, nobody likes us, nobody likes us, and we don't care. We're from Philly, fucking Philly. Nobody likes us. We don't care. Mm-hmm. There's something so like pure and honest about how delusional a person can be when you say stuff like that out loud. I appreciate it because it's honest. Like it's not like I don't know. I feel like Giants fans are like, they're pretentious sometimes. Dallas fans, they have championships. They're allowed to be a little bit mean. Philly doesn't have a lot of championships. This isn't necessarily title town. There was one year, a lot of bad things happened in Philly. Multiple championship games. All did not work out. And Philly just keeps chugging along, and I love it. I find that endearing. Washington has the decency to just be terrible at everything for a long time, and then out of nowhere we win for a little bit. I know this is going to be like a podcast that bites me in the ass in the future when I do stand up, and people are going to be like, what the fuck did you say about Philly?
No.
What did you say about elephants being wizards?
No, one thing is like, I mean, obviously, if I'm putting it on wax right now, it does, more people know, but I don't wear my fandom on my sleeve.
Nah.
Even if I wasn't here, I wouldn't. Like, it's just not in my personality. Like, there's like a thing, I don't know when it happened, but when I realized, like, these people have made so much money, they don't give a fuck about you, me, whether we like them or not. It doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't fucking matter. Like, you still gotta get food. You still gotta, earn a living for yourself, or like provide, for your family or whatever. Like, it doesn't matter. Like,
I think that it was watching LeBron change like the landscape of how super teams like can affect the NBA and the allegiance you have for a city that drafts you does not matter.
Yeah.
And that's funny. My wife is a huge Cleveland sports fan. It is nerve-wracking to watch sports with that girl. And I'm like, it's the Browns. They're going to do what the Browns do. She's like, this year's going to be different. I'm like, no, it's not. No, it's not. In the history of Everton, there has never been... right. Well.
Yeah, I do kind of envy folks who can get that passionate about that, because, like, whenever... one of my comedy friends finds out that I'm not an Eagles fan, they want to, like, start with this. I'm like, I don't care. Like,
I like it.
You can like who you like, and I can like who I don't care. It doesn't.
The only team that I truly dislike and despise, like, from like a fan's perspective, because I can appreciate passionate fans of anything. I'm like, if you like what you like, good job. I'm down for that. Pittsburgh. There's something about that place. I have good, close friends that I went to college with that live in Pittsburgh or Pittsburgh adjacent. There was something about that time where they were winning shit, and they are like a fundamentally like troubled city for their fandom of the Steelers and the Penguins. I one time said, oh, the Capitals are playing. And then that was it. I just said, oh, the Capitals are playing. It's a hockey team. I'm hundreds of miles away from home. I guess I'll look up like the score. And the amount, I got accosted immediately, and they're like, fuck the Capitals. I'm like, we're not even playing you. We're not even fucking playing each other. Why are you angry with me? And they're like, fuck your team. Fuck all your team. Ovi's a bitch. And I'm like, why are you yelling about, why are you so passionate? It's Tuesday. There ain't shit going on. Your team isn't even playing right now. And so mean. So mean. And the Steelers, like, there's some dark stuff back there. There's some bad things that have happened.
Oh, absolutely.
Terrible, terrible, terrible quarterback, Roethlisberger. That guy's an awful person.
Absolutely.
Ugh.
Absolutely. I will say that I do find it funny, though. My close friends they'll, like, they're Eagles fans, and they'll lose, case in point, to the 49ers. Mm-hmm. And they'll just send me a text like, fuck Dallas. I'm like, we weren't playing.
I know.
Fam. Like,
I don't get that.
During game time, if you want to text me that, I'll still ignore it, but fine. But, like, huh?
To this day, I have friends in, like, the central PA where I went to college that still message me, like, fuck Washington, or, like, fuck the Caps, or fuck the football team, or the National. Like, they just randomly. And these, like, I'm not even watching the game sometimes.
Right.
I'm just living life. And I have to respond, Cool.
I hope everything's going all right in your life right now. That that you made you took time out of it to say that.
Oh God.
Great.
I hope you're okay. I miss him. I like anyone that is passionate about anything. I find that dope. It's cool.
Yeah.
Being a big fan of a sports team, being into like film, television, music, comedy, improv. Like I don't like yucking anyone's yum. Like
Yeah.
I want everyone to enjoy themselves with
Yeah.
what they want because it's important. Like it helps your mental health and stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that all teams deserve to at least win once. And when they do, if your team wins, you're allowed to be insufferable for 1 year. And then the second another team wins, you cannot reference that championship from 10 years ago, from 5 years ago. You could talk about the time of what it was being like, what it was like, but you can't just be like, because the Caps won. That was big for us. I loved it. Funnest summer of my entire life of living in DC. It was so much fun. I can't bring up the Capitals winning anymore because we haven't in a while. I can't bring up Washington winning because that hasn't happened since the 90s. And even then, that was weird. And now, I don't know, Wizards, they haven't been good in about 10 years. It's fine. It's fine. They're going to be really, really bad. It's going to be cheap courtside tickets for me. I'm down. I want to just go see a good basketball game.
Absolutely. Hey, 2018 was what?
What, when the Capitals won?
That's when they won?
I think so.
It's 5
I don't
years
know.
ago.
It was like the Caps won and then the Nationals won like a year after or something. It was something insane where like even our WNBA team won like a year later or something like around the same time. So for a little bit, we really did feel like Title Town. And I was like, I love this. This is great being a fan.
Yeah.
And now, not so much. Not so much. Not so much.
I loved the city more when they won the Super Bowl. And that is weird for
Yeah.
a person who's not a fan to say, but everyone was so much nicer.
Yeah. It seems like it'd be fun.
Like I pulled over by a cop, and I was like, "Oh shit! All right, well, things are tense right now. I'm gonna fucking, hands on the wheel, yada yada yada."
Yeah.
It was just like, "Hey, just wanted to tell you, your tail lights out. All right, have a good one, man." Huh? Have a good one?
Oh,
All right.
sports success somehow levels out racial equality.
Yep. It's like if that's what it does, cool, great,
Oh,
good for you, Philly. Love
I
it.
think there's like a few sports fans that I know that I like respect because their fandom is like so, I don't know, it's ingrained in who they are. I like that. That's fun. I imagine like being a sports fan in Philly, it seems different than in Washington because no one like lives in DC that plays for any of our teams. They always live like outside in the suburbs and stuff. But I imagine in Philly, like it would not completely shock me if I saw like I don't know, Kelsey like walking around, Jason Kelsey like randomly walking around.
Basketball, it's like that. Basketball players you'll see around. Like when Embiid first was here, like you would see him hooping like at a court. But like Eagles players don't live in the city. They specifically live in South Jersey. Like there's areas where like not far from where I grew up where you'll just be like you'll see them at Acme.
Oh, okay.
At the local Acme. It's like, oh, do you live? Oh, you must just live in that big. Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
So they don't live in Philly either. They're in the suburbs of Jersey. Because it's right there. It's like it's literally just.
We
right
always see players from other teams when they're in DC. Like I worked at bars where I was bartending, and I would see like a center for like an NBA team, and we would have to stay open later, and I would just be at this little Italian restaurant. I'm like, that guy dropped like 37 on us. I fucking hate him. I hate him so much. Oh, silly times.
Silly. All right, man. Before we get out of here,
Okay.
I want to ask you a couple questions.
Sure.
I don't know. I don't have like a phrase or a thing for this segment, but it's just questions. Do you have any hidden talents?
Not really. I'm too like attention whore that I would just break them out, but they're not hidden very much. I would like, I don't know.
Something maybe you're quietly good at that no one, like maybe.
Oh, I'm good at this game. I'm good at this game. I've been playing for a little while. It's called Will It Fit? And I play this game. Okay, it sounds nasty.
Clarify.
I do play this game with my wife too, and she's not as good as I am. But it's about Tupperware. I don't know what it is. Tupperware, like, you ever meet someone? They have like a sandwich in like a 3-gallon. Like it's just this. They don't know what actually can fit.
Mm.
I can almost always pick out the correct size of Tupperware, and I feel like a king every single time I do it. It's like that amount of pasta is not going to fit in that. And then I'm like, man, let me cook. All right? I'm way better at that than I thought I would be. Wife, she's terrible at it. She's bad. She's trash. I've been talking shit so much because it's gotten to a point where she comes up to me like a child, and she's like, what's gonna fit? And I'm like, that one, baby. Go ahead. Pour with confidence.
Oh yeah, I like that. That's a very useful talent, arguably, because there's nothing more that I hate than you think you have it right, and then there's just a little bit of run over, and you have to put in a little tiny one. It's
Yeah,
like,
and then you gotta watch the original. I hate that. And the amount of room in a refrigerator is precious.
Mm-hmm.
I have 7 brothers and sisters. I'm well aware of what. Oh my God, maybe that's the origin of why I'm good at that. It's because I didn't have a lot of space in the fridge, and I needed to make sure I got it in the smallest container possible.
Goddamn.
Ah, that's a metaphor for life or something. Maybe that's the name of my next one. Next special.
Will it fit?
Will it fit?
A metaphor for life in parentheses. Fuck yeah. What time does your body naturally wake you up without any alarms or anything?
That's tough. If I'm on a good sleep schedule and things are going well, I can usually wake up around 8 a.m. without anything.
Mm-hmm.
But I also have been forced to learn how to sleep through anything. So I can tell myself, you're still tired, go back to sleep. And I could just fall right back asleep. I can do that for as long as I want. So I just wake up, look at the clock, I'm like, I could do another 20 minutes. Wake up, look at the clock, I'm like, I'm going to do another hour. And then I'll be like, it's 11:30. Half the day's gone. I feel terrible. I feel terrible about this decision. That's impossible for me to deal with.
Do you have a morning routine?
Yep. Take an allergy pill, wake up, a glass of water, try to do all my bathroom business, and try to eat something before 10. I feel like if I don't eat something before like 9:45, I won't. And I'll just go right into lunch. And I've learned that breakfast is important. My wife's a teacher. She's been trying to get me into like eating breakfast. It sucks. I hate it. Eggs are gross. I don't understand why people eat them.
Yeah, they are on paper. If you're describing eggs to someone who's never seen an egg before, it's very gross.
It's terrifying. What do you want? Chicken embryos. Oh, but they're good when you take out half of them and separate them and stuff. It's
Throw
like a
some
little
cheese on
science
it.
part.
Throw some cheese on that bitch, put it on a brioche bun.
Yeah, I could get by like bagel cream cheese. Like I could get that.
Mm-hmm.
Cereal, okay, but you pay for all the cereal you eat. You get 2 bowls of cereal, you pay for all that milk. There's receipts. Your stomach can't handle that sort of stuff. Not after like fucking 27.
Ugh.
Oh, no. You just get bloated, and then your face feels fat, and then you feel like, oh, maybe if I switch to 2%, it's not going to help. You can't eat that much milk or drink that much milk.
Speaking of cereal, greatest cereal of all time.
Oh, mine's trash. I just like Rice Krispies, and I like Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
That's not trash at all.
Rice Krispies, it's not because of the flavor. It's just, it's like the mouth feel. I don't understand how to explain it. There's something where it's just good texture, was soggy, or when it's like crunchy. I like it both times, and it only works if you have it with milk. I can eat other cereal dry and I'll be good. Not Rice Krispies. Too much popping. Freaks me out.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch, though.
It's incredible. It's worth
Amazing.
the price of admission.
Amazing.
Honeycombs for a little bit. It was usually like, I didn't try sugary cereals until I got like way older. My parents only got like really, because my dad was trying to be healthy. So we had Total, which is just, it's just cornflakes with a tan. It is gross. It never had any flavor. It was eating cardboard, and I got used to it. So anytime I tried to like have a sugary cereal, I lost my mind. I was like, this is America. This is incredible. I love this. USA. I'm never going back. And I grew up in the suburbs. I don't know why I say that.
And last but certainly not least, the 3 most important people to your career.
Obvious one's probably like my wife. She's very good at picking out jokes. She's gonna love hearing this. She's very good at picking out diamonds in the rough. Like I'll just be talking and just trying to see if I'm just joking around, trying to make her laugh. And then she'll look at me when I get one really good one, and she'll be like, write that down. Write that down. You need to write that down, because so I would write it down, not thinking about it, because I'm like, that's just like a little moment, like offhand thing. That has translated to like 5 of my favorite jokes right now, and I love that. Other one, it's probably my dad. He was a stand-up comic for a little bit in D.C., but he was more, he was speaking in Somali when he did that. So he was doing it like for his community, and he was just shooting the shit at like a restaurant with his friends. He's really, really funny. Everyone that I've met that knows my father, whether it's uncles or friends of his, always say your dad's the funniest guy in the room. We don't really have a great time when we're all hanging out sometimes, and he'll be there, and it makes it 100 times better. So I got my sense of humor from him, probably. Other one, top 3, probably like it's probably like one of my mentors. There's a few of them that I looked up to in DC. They were like older black comics that I absolutely like idolize. I found them to be not only the funniest, they were the most professional. They always like dressed well. They were ready to work. They got done with work. They were good to go back to like life outside of it, but they were good at like balancing it. So there was like 5 of them, but right now, like the one I'm still like really close with is this guy from DC. His name's Old Mike B. It's Mike Brown.
Love his name.
Yeah, we just call him Old Mike B. Old Mike B is hysterical. He's easily one of the best hosts I've ever met, and he's oddly like good at helping you figure out what you want to do with stand-up. So it's always like tough love and stuff when you're fucking up. But the second he kind of figures out like what you need to kind of figure out stuff, I wouldn't have recorded my album if he didn't like kind of put like a bit of pressure on me to do it. He was like, you're ready. You got to do something. Even if you're not ready, you need to do this. Because if you don't, you're going to regret not doing it now. Now is when it matters. And then he was on my special when fingers crossed, I get to release it. He's the guy that I like dap up and I hug at the very beginning. And he was really big. Then there's like other guys. There's the first compliment of a comedy that I got that meant the world to me. It was Tony Woods, who's he's awesome. I was a baby comic, maybe only a couple of months into stand up, and he watched me bomb horrifically when I was a kid. And he saw me do terrible, and then I came back, and he wasn't around, so he popped back up, and he told me, man, you're about to put him in a body bag that time. Good job. That was good. And I was just like, what? He's like, you were killing him. And I'm like, oh. And he's like, you'll get faster. And then he walked away. And but it was Mike B. Tony's great. I don't consider him like a mentor because like he's so busy. He's just like this sage like that pops up sometimes that tells you some of the funniest things you've ever heard, and then he disappears and you don't see him for like a month. But Haywood Turnipseed Jr., Andy Klein, who's not black but is an older white comic, Randolph Terrence, and Tim Miller. Those guys were all the ones that I like looked up to in DC, and they're incredible. They're fucking hilarious, talented, all very different. And that's why I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah.
I thought there wasn't really like a space for a voice like mine in comedy sometimes. And then they were the ones that would always encourage me, like, no, people want to hear like your perspective. Don't just try to go up there and try to tell like BS jokes that you made up of situations that didn't exist. Talk about life. Talk about like yourself. You'll become a better comedian if you do that.
Hell yeah. Shout out to the old heads.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean? We did it.
Oh boy, man, this was a while. This flew though. Like
It did. It felt great.
Yeah. Man, I'm going to have to check into that hotel and then run to the show like
shit, yeah.
immediately.
Yeah, fuck, yeah.
It's at 7. So, yeah, no, there's plenty of time. And I'm
Cool.
not going first. And once I get there, I'm not, like, going anywhere. I'm just going to be sitting there for, like, 2 hours.
Cool.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
This is
Well,
cool.
I also may be there after I drop into another friend show.
Okay.
So maybe I'll see you later.
Yeah, definitely.
You have anything you want to, where can they find you?
You can find me at deeahmed.com. That's where all my social stuff is. Dee was joking on pretty much everything. My album, Look at Me, which is out on pretty much everywhere. iTunes, Spotify, Tidal. I mean, for God's sake. It's going to possibly be on Sirius XM and Pandora pretty soon. So that'll be really cool. Yeah, it was number 1 at one point. I beat Adam Sandler for a little bit.
Fuck you, Adam. No.
Fuck Adam Sandler. Yeah. It's a good thing you didn't win for that Gems movie, Precious Gems or whatever.
Wear some pants from time to time, will you?
Yeah. Just dress up, wear a suit, one that's tailored. You got money. And this will be what's played back when I audition for an Adam Sandler movie in 2 to 10 years.
You remember this one?
Oh, God.
Dee, I appreciate you coming by, man. You're always welcome
Thank
anytime.
you. No, this is cool. We should do this again. I want to come back and do
Hell
this
yeah.
again.
Hell
Just
yeah.
shoot the shit.
Fuck yeah. Until next time, I'm going to end this with a quote from one of my favorite humans and fellow comedian Brandon Mitchell. Bye, niggas.
Bye.
Well, just our luck hit the critical James theory. Hit the critical James theory, yeah. Just our luck hit the critical James theory, yeah. Hit the critical James theory, yo. Just our luck hit the critical James theory, yo.